Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, 7:15 a.m. here on the East Coast, July 30th. We're coming up here at the end of the month. I think there's 31 days in July, so tomorrow should be the monthly closing. All right, and it's going to get really interesting because this month definitely does not look good. So unless somehow we gain, I don't know, $1,000 in a day or so, the July monthly is not going to look too hot. All right, we'll go over that in a little bit, but for now, let's go over the 4-hour chart, and I want to show you some things that I'm seeing. Okay, so first things first, notice this purple descending parallel channel. We have this channel right here. First touch right there, second touch right there, third touch, and fourth touch. So that is a validation that this is a confirmed parallel channel. All right, typically you need 4 touches, 5 or 6 is even better, but 4 is all you need. Alternating sides is even better. You typically don't want, a touch like this and then a touch like that and then it comes back and then another touch like that. You do want alternating touches like this, like that, and then like that. All right, this shows you that price is moving in the bounds of this channel or trend line resistances. Okay, all right, so anyway, with that being said, we could see that this parallel channel right here is containing the price right now. Okay, now price did not make another lower low in the descending parallel channel. All it did was, well, actually technically it did make a lower low, but it did not make a lower low over here. Okay, so all it did was from here it went like this, and now it's creating sort of a rounded sideways movement. All right, now this to me is somewhat of a neutral sign because it is pressing against this big trend line, this black one that comes back all the way from this 13,200 top that we hit, in the first week of July. And then the second touch right here around 20th of July. Okay. Now after that, what got created is another fan trend line, we call it. All right. Fan trend lines can go at a steeper angle like that, or they could go at a wider angle. This shows you that the price is breaking out of the previous trend line, but it might be creating some different trend lines, to end it with, right? So something like this. You could see that that lines up with my parallel channel right there. And so what's happening really is we're trying our best to break out of this one right here, this black trend line. And we tried over here on 26th of July, but we failed and got torpedoed down, right? And then after that, what we're really doing is we're pressing up against that trend line again. So what you could do is, if you're really looking for longs, okay, you could take a long at the closing of this candle outside this trend line, or at the closing of this trend line right here, outside of this trend line right here. If you're looking for a close outside of both of those, probably about 98.50 or so might be the target for you. Okay. For now, I'm kind of just waiting for scalps here and there, whatever opportunity I get for longs and shorts. This sideways movement, I don't really want to trade this chop because there's just not too much to be made out of it, right? Like, any candle up and down. Sorry, let me look that up. Okay. So any candle that you pick top to bottom is about 1% or so, and that means that you would actually have to catch the bottom of the candle and sell the top. I think that's extremely hard to do. So trading chop, meaning trading sideways markets like this, is pretty much impossible for the layman user. Okay, if you have a bot, maybe you could do a really good job in sideways markets. But what you can rely on is the technicals of what's playing out here. Okay, first things first, if you don't believe that this price could break out this trend line right here, okay, you could short it. All right, any break that you see outside of this trend line, short it, and you could potentially have the opportunity to touch back on this 9100 area. Okay, second thing, you could short it on the the touch or maybe a fake breakout on this trend line right here if you don't think that we're ready to keep on moving up, okay? Or if you're thinking about longing, you could potentially long right here, about 94.88 or so, all right? I personally don't know what the price is going to do, so I'm just going to sit tight and wait, all right? So anyway, point is that, the sideways chop, there's really nothing to be made out of it. And you could see that, in most markets, especially crypto, because there are so many retailers involved, more often than not, when the market starts moving sideways, the communities, Discord, Twitter, everything just starts going a little bit more silent. Why? Because people love volatility. They love, high and low, movements and big structures being taken out, 5-10% movements a day, right? And, to be honest, as a trader, I'm drawn to the volatility myself. Most people are, right? So when you have a lack of volatility like this, people get bored. Okay, people get bored, they get tired, they think, or rather they start questioning themselves, they start anticipating things, and this is where a lot of mistakes are made. Okay, so I bet you there's going to be a lot of people who are going to just try to anticipate that this is the bottom and they're just going to, long or go all in or whatever, or they're just going to do 100x short because they think this is going to go down. Either way, both those people, could get torpedoed, right? Bitcoin has a history of surprising both sides, taking out both people. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does that, somewhere around here. So just be careful. The fear and greed index currently is around 22 points. I think just yesterday was 19, so climbing up a little bit. I personally think, especially even in our community, in other communities, everyone is really short, really bearish. And I don't quite know why. I'm not, questioning that. I'm just saying that I wonder what exactly makes people feel bearish. Is it because the market is just moving sideways and, they just want the prices to drop? Or is it, something that they're seeing technicals wise? And I can guarantee you that it's really not something that they see technicals wise. Okay. More often than not, people are hoping and praying for lower and lower prices, so they could buy a Bitcoin at 7,000, 6,000, 5,000. But I can guarantee you that the same people who didn't buy way down here in the 3,000 or 4,000 territory, when prices drop kind of like that, they're not going to buy down here again. Okay, things look extremely scary when prices are just collapsing, and you cannot have a rational mind thinking, 2 weeks ago or a month ago prices were at 9,000 and I'm gonna try to buy at 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000, right? Most people operate under the emotion of fear, and fear is a much stronger emotion than greed, I would say. So, with that being said, if you're really hoping for lower prices, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you hope for, okay? Because you might just get them, but you also might get a extended bear market, right? An extended bear market could be another, 12 months or 14 months like we had back here in 2018. So ask yourself if you really want that, okay? All right. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out is this daily chart that I drew up right here. Okay, this is where things get really interesting, and this is where I sort of can say that things are looking slightly more bearish for now, and I'll give my reasoning why. I don't know what this line is doing here. All right, so let me explain you each line, okay? Each trend line. So first trend line is this, top of this flag. Hits this wick, hits this wick, all right? That's this line right there, okay? Next trend line is a bottom one, okay? Which is hits this wick and this wick right here. So that's this trend line. Now the next fan trend line, okay, is this one. Remember, fan trend lines are nothing but, trend lines that are coming off other trend lines with deeper angles, okay? Sort of like that. What this really does is it tells you an idea that price may be looking more and more bearish. Like, for example, if price is, going down in a trend line like this, right? So price every time is moving down, it hits this trend line like this, and then like this. But then price starts going like this, okay? What does that indicate? Well, now the trend line's like this, right? So that means that's a steeper angle on the trend line, okay? That implies that there's, more control by the bears. So in this case, I would say this is the same conclusion, which is that this area right here was far more controlled by the bears because it's a significantly steeper trend line than, say, this one was, right? Which was the top of the bear flag, which we hit, once we hit the bottom right here, we hit the top, and then now we're coming down like this, like this, okay? So with that being said, we're creating something that looks like a big falling wedge, okay? Now remember, again, you want 4 touches, right, in each pattern. So that's 1 touch right there, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Typically, in falling wedges, what you often see is after the 4th touch, okay, you have a bit of a pullback sideways and then pop, okay? And I'm kind of seeing that right now, but I can't definitively say, excuse me, I can't definitively say that that's going to happen right now, or maybe it may happen before we, bleed in just a little bit and then pop. What I would say is, another pattern that's sort of playing out in the middle of this is a descending triangle like that. 1, 2, 3, and 4 touches right there, right? So in these 4 touches, in this red dotted line right there and right there, we see a descending triangle. Now, descending triangles are typically continuation patterns. Okay, so what this implies is that previous to this little area right here, this price action, you can see price has been going down for the last 15 days or so, right? What this tells me is some point this descending triangle could break down. Okay, so we have a mini continuation bearish pattern in the middle of a larger reversal bullish pattern, which is a falling wedge, right? Remember, falling wedges break to the upside, and all of that is within a large bull flag, right? This is your big pull, this is your flag right there, okay? So we could temporarily break down, pop out of the falling wedge, and then keep on moving up towards this bull flag. Okay, all of these patterns could actually be validated, but unfortunately, the target for the descending triangle right here is technically about $7,100. Why? Because from this top to this bottom, that's about a $2,000 move. So $2,000 down from, say, once we break down from $9,100 is $7,100. Now, I highly doubt that'll happen. Personally, I think there's just a lot of support in the mid 7,000 level, and there's especially a lot of support in the low 8,000 to mid 8,000 area. Okay, so if you're truly waiting for some signals from the daily chart, right, you may at the very least want to wait below 9,100 to short. Again, this is a closing on the daily. So if if the candle today or the next day or two closes below 9,100, first of all, it's going to get really scary. At the very least, we'll hit this descending trend line right here. So 1, 2 touches, 3 touches right here. If we fall straight down tomorrow, that would take us to 85.50 or so. Okay, if we fall straight down tomorrow. All right. If we break up now, first thing you want to see is at the very least break of this trend line, break of this descending, triangle resistance right here. And maybe you want to wait above 10,200, 10,300 for a confirmed breakout. If you want to be really, really safe, you can wait above this marker, which is 11,200, because this takes care of this lower high right here, as well as this bottom that was created at 9100 and this potential double bottom right here. So the double bottom to be confirmed, you have to break above the high created by the first bottom, which would imply, breaking above 11,200. Now this double bottom actually looks like an Adam and Eve pattern. Adam and Eve patterns are Adam and Eve patterns. They're typically V-shaped bottoms followed by a circular bottom. Okay, so you could see something like this. Let's see, just like that. Adam and Eve, V-shaped reversal first, and then a rounding, right, and then take off. Okay, but again, we have not broken past this area to be confirmed as a Adam and Eve or a double bottom. So again, if you want to be truly safe, 11,200 might be safe. Okay. Now another thing that gets really interesting is on the weekly chart, and this is why I'm way more cautious right now due to this right here. Okay, so I'm gonna hide this volume real quick and turn this off right here. All right, so here's why I am a bit more concerned, especially on the weekly chart. All right, you could see that once we did not close above the 11,600 marker, I figured, okay, I don't mind floating between 9.6 and 11.5, all right, for a couple weeks. But we didn't do that. Within 3 weeks we cracked 9,500. This candle right here closed at 95.33. I know that's about just 60 or so dollars shorter than this, but that's a pretty big implication that prices were not able to hold above a critical resistance or flip support level right here around 9,600, which was the previous closing of multiple weekly candles in April 2018. So once we broke below that, right, the next big support is technically this area right here around 8,700, or this prior weekly right here that closed in July 2018, which is around 8,200. So everything in this red candle becomes a potential landing spot, and that's anywhere between 75, 7,600 and all the way to about $8,800. So about a $1,300 range is where Bitcoin can fall in and potentially bounce up. Okay, you could see right here the monthly and the weekly pivot is right around that area too. Okay, that's about $8,000 or so right there. So if we fall, hopefully we try to close the weekly above that pivot level, or if we do fall below it, just like we closed right here below it, we need a big follow-up bullish candle. Personally, I would say that you don't want to come anywhere below this level, but if it happens, it's time to start being really, really cautious, because if we break past that, I think the only next big level is really this area right here, and actually technically it's this right here, this little consolidation area. Okay, so anywhere between about $5,400 and $5,100 or so. Okay, that would be the next big consolidation area if this level does not hold, because on the weekly there's nothing in the middle. There's nothing where price consolidated and then kept on moving up, other than this candle and these couple candles right here. So again, like I said, if you want to wish for lower prices, be careful what you wish for. And if that does happen, ask yourself, are you going to be prepared for a game plan? Do you have a game plan if prices fall below? Because I know I do, right? In my community, right, I have about 89% cash just waiting. I have, some exposure to some positions that I took a little bit early on, but that's okay. I can easily average these down to much lower averages over the coming, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, okay? But even with these, potential losses, these are not realized losses because I haven't sold any of this. I've taken so much profit already. Profit right there, profit right there. Many areas where I've taken profit before, profit right there. I even took a nice hefty profit over here actually. Right there when I took a long, when I mentioned to my community that there's a falling wedge happening, and this candle popped for me perfectly, with the 4.4% gain. So if you are a part of Discord communities, or you're trading on your own, ask yourself if you're making headway in this market while it's trading sideways? Are you learning? Do you have a community or people that help you and talk to you? Do you have a big education section that like we do? We have a ton of videos, we have Excel sheets, we have pointers and tips and cheat sheets and books and tons of different videos that we've mocked up, understanding how to place different orders, understanding how to use Elliott waves, articles that we've written, all kinds of stuff we have in here. Okay, so with that being said, folks, you need to start utilizing this time to understand how to trade technicals, to understand how to enhance your knowledge, understand everything that I'm saying. Okay, people ask me like, hey, why should we go to you? Because there's so many other good traders out there and they guarantee me 4x or 5x gains on my portfolio. Guys, if they can guarantee you that, send them my way, because I don't know anyone who can guarantee that. All right. And I'll tell you another thing. People have been telling me that, there's some traders out there, someone named Alessio, who did this analysis about why can't we be in a big ABC wave, correction like this, ABC, as you can see in the black right here. And I told them, I was like, what do you mean? Like something like this? And they gave me a video that was, put out last week. And I did this last month. Okay. So I did this a month before people are even thinking of thoughts like this. I even hit this. Look at this. I hit the marker right on the spot. I told people that 618 will be your potential reversal point. Okay. Why? Because 618 is historically a golden pocket. It's known as a golden ratio. This is typically where prices bounce from the downside or the upside. And that's exactly what happened. I told people that this is a potential scenario that you need to look out for. Again, I did this a month before other people have thought of this. So I don't know, when people tell me, why don't I follow better traders out there? I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm thinking of things before other people, at least a month before them. So you got to give me some credit here, right? Another thing that I've thought about is, something that no one else has been talking about in any community that I'm aware of. But then again, I don't follow other communities, right? I only listen to what other people tell me, saying that, hey, I heard this in this community, in that community. Yeah. So with that being said, prices over here on gold, you can see, are very similar to the structure of BTC. Again, these are each monthly candles. Okay, you can see that after gold hit this top of about $185, it capitulated all the way down to about $100 low. All right, and then maybe about a year later, gold again, just went parabolic, hit about 130 or so, and then came back down again. Okay, it tested 78.6% of this entire move. So 786 fib of this entire move, it pulled back. This could be something that Bitcoin may be in, all right? And then it kept moving away. You can see this monthly candle almost a couple years later then took out this high, all right? So don't be surprised, if something like this happens. I highly doubt that it'll take, a year or two, but Bitcoin's and crypto itself is a faster market, right? Gold is a $7 trillion market. It's hard to move a $7 trillion market as fast as Bitcoin moves because gold, it would take months to have that kind of movement, right? For Bitcoin, it could be in a month or two at most, So do keep that in mind. And again, another chart that I drew up something similar is Nikkei, this Tokyo Stock Exchange. Same thing. In the 80s, price hit a all-time high. So this is technically your Bitcoin 20K high, lower high, lower high, lower high, capitulation. This is your low of $3,100. This is your high of 13,000. And then again, retest of lows, take out the stops from over here, boom, wick down, and then take off a couple of years later, literally a decade later, actually. So don't think that these scenarios are not something that I'm aware of. This is why I prepare my community for all situations, for all possibilities, okay? Now, I know there's not really a high likelihood of that, but it doesn't hurt being prepared, right? So if you are not prepared for things like that, if you're not prepared for, price action breaking up or down, placing your stops properly, understanding, why you need to get into certain positions at certain times or not get in or stay flat, meaning just stay out, then you're basically giving your money to the market, right? So rule number 1, capital preservation. Rule number 2, grow your capital. If you don't have rule number 1 locked down, you're basically giving money to people like myself or just professionals. Okay, so be really careful. All right. Again, we have the education section. We have all kinds of locked channels for our Advantage members right here. Bitcoin analysis, which is where I provide a ton of analysis here. Whatever you're seeing right now, I've done a day before for my community. I've talked about the different moving averages, right? You can go over here on my Cryptosomniac trading view, and you can go to this analysis right here, Bitcoin analysis. That will save your account. Okay, it's right here. I talked about how the daily chart right here, there's the daily chart. It has these different moving averages converging around the pivot, right around 21 EMA, the 30 EMA, and the 50 moving average, all converging around 10,200 or so. So that's another reason why I stated that, 10,200, this wick high right here, could be an important level. Okay. Until then, I mean, you're kind of just basically trading chop and potentially, maybe more up and down movement. It's really hard to say what's going to happen. I would say anywhere between this white marker and this black marker, you could trade. You could take scalps, but I don't know if you just want to go continuously long or continuously short, because this is really a no man's trading land right here. Okay. All right, so I've showed you my bear and bull case. Again, you can check this out on TradingView. Type in Cryptosomniac, the bear versus bull case right here. I've talked about this analysis middle of July as well. Bitcoin has historically had 30-40% drops all the way through the run of 2017. So don't be surprised if in the next week or two we pull back to 8,500 with a wick and then just continue on up for the next coming months. All right? It has historically been able to surprise bulls and bears almost within the span of a day or two. Okay? So this looks like a party for the bears, but then now we're pulling back and pulling up and looks like a party for the bulls, either of which could fail too, right? We could just trade sideways for a little while and that could suck too. Okay, so really ask yourself if you're prepared with the plan. And even on the weekly chart, as I've gone over the 21 EMA again, right, the 21 EMA has historically been very supportive of the entire run up here in 2017. Now we're coming up towards that 21 EMA, right around $8,200 currently. So that falls perfectly within this consolidation period, as well as this monthly, weekly pivot. And, this 21 EMA is right there. Okay. Let's go to some smaller time frames, see if there's anything interesting happening. There's some RSI action happening right now. Looks like RSI is trying to break out of this area. Let's see if we can draw some trend lines on this sucker. Okay, so it looks like RSI is really trying to break out of this trend line resistance right now, almost perfectly. And it's pretty much trapped in this little area right here. So it's like a descending triangle right now, or it could be something like this. Okay, so it's really tightening for sure, and I would expect either maybe a slight pullback and then a push out, or just clean rip on through. Okay, it's really hard to gauge right now though, but the RSI is trying to do its best to sort of break out of that area. Let's see if the 4-hour is showing anything interesting. I'm gonna take these away, take this away right here, and take this away. Let's see, 4-hour shows me this trend line. No, that one doesn't work. This one looks a little bit better. All right, so 4-hour has a bit of a ways to go towards this trend line. So we could potentially move on up towards this, outside parallel channel trend line and still hit that and come back down. Again, if you're trying to look for areas of price breaking, like I said, you could potentially take that trade for a long from this particular area right here, anticipating this breakout towards this one, or anticipate this breakout towards a 10,200 resistance. All right, so you have options, and I hope these options help you. Just do be careful in whatever you're doing. Let's just check out ETH USD finally. I know ETH is not looking the healthiest. It's still hovering on this outside trend line right here, as you can see. If BTC doesn't get a bounce soon, this does not look good for Ethereum, because we're basically kind of like this right now. I guess we could gravitate towards 215, 216, but then breaking below this trend line, folks, is really not going to be a good sign. So again, I'm hoping that Bitcoin picks it up, because next big support in Ethereum is anywhere between, I'd probably say 185 or 175 down to about 150 or so. All right, so careful what you wish for. LTC, let's see, wrong chart. Take out this 21 EMA, not really useful here. Let's see how the pivots are doing on LTC. Bet you it's near the S1 or something. All right, it's below the S1 actually. And the S2 is currently around about $72 on LTC. LTC is basically broken outside of the trend line right here. This trend line. Let me see if I can hide the pivots. See, this is the trend line we're looking at. This touch, this touch, this touch, and now we broke past it. We're actually even also using that as resistance. LTC halving's coming up close in about 10 days. So not surprised, this is your 50% drop that's happening already. All right, this is definitely looking a little scary. If you're looking to sell out, you could potentially sell right here, or you can double down somewhere down here if it does bounce. I would say a good bounce area is this blue marker right here. Anywhere between $70 and $75 is a really big, bounce spot for LTC. Okay, so you have markers to look for Ethereum, Bitcoin, LTC now. Trade wisely, not investment advice. Do give me a thumbs up and come join the Cryptosomniac Discord. The link should be in the video. And share our video, folks. All right, if you enjoy our content, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. And I hope to see you guys soon in the Cryptosomniac Advantage community. All right, take care, cheers, and make some gains.